Hey guys, welcome back to Cage Side Press. I'm Gabriel Gonzalez, and I'm here with Andrea KGB Lee fighting Roxanne Modafferi in September. Andrea, before I forget, the fight is September 12th. Do I have that right?
Yes, September 12th.
Okay, yeah, they haven't announced, like the whole fight card and all that just yet, if I'm not mistaken, so I wanted to be sure. First off, thank you for making the time. I know we're getting to the part where training camp is probably going to ramp up a little bit and get more serious, so I appreciate it. The last time we spoke, it was on IG Live, and we talked about a lot of things. You were in the middle of Red Dead Redemption, if I'm not mistaken. We were talking about being in the quarantine. So first off, did you beat the second half of the game? Have you picked up new hobbies? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty much back to training full time. I still make time. I get on and play PS4 with my boyfriend. He always gets me on Call of Duty, so that's really what we've been playing the most of. You know, um, but since the gyms have opened back up, and I've been able to return to somewhat of some sort of normalcy, I've been just training mostly.
Now, can I ask, because I know you have a daughter, are you doing the homeschool thing over there with you guys, or is it on vacation? Because obviously, everyone's kind of shifted around because gyms are open, but you still have to take care of her at home. Where are you at with your situation?
Well, right now, the way that our custody set up, we do week on, week off. So the weeks that I have Ainsley, like I'll just bring her to the gym with me, or I'll let a friend watch her, and she'll play with their kids or something like that. But right now it's summertime, so we don't have to really worry about school at the moment.
Gotcha. And now, obviously, around the country, some places they're talking about closing back down, other places they're staying open. Where's it at for you? Do you feel confident that you're not going to have them shut the gym down right in the middle of camp?
I don't know. I don't know. Man, I'm not confident about anything like these days. It seems like everything can be up in the air. I mean, we've things were getting kind of back to normal. It felt like, but then our state, we live in Louisiana. They just recently made it mandatory, that everybody, has to wear masks in and out of buildings and stuff. And I know that's the way it is, like in most places, but here in Louisiana, it was not everybody was wearing. They weren't people that didn't want to wear masks. They weren't wearing masks. But now it's kind of like it's up to the stores, and if they tell you that you need to have a mask to come in, they have the right to like refuse service and stuff like that. So um, I don't know where things are going to be in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping that the gyms are allowed to stay open.
Can I ask, like, do you talk with coaches? Like, do you talk with Tony and them and be like, hey, if they close us 3 weeks out, y'all are about to be sleeping in the garage, sleeping. We're going to get a tent for you guys, and we're going to be doing sparring out in the lawn where you guys are at.
Well, if they end up like closing the gyms down, I'm sure that we'll still be able to get it in. Well, there'll still be a few of us that'll go up, to the facility, and we'll get our work in. I'm not gonna stop and quit my training. You know what I mean? Um, we'll just have to open it up for a select few if that happens.
Gotcha. So let's go back to the first fight a little bit. The fight is obviously a rematch with Roxanne. We've talked about it a little bit because, so 2014, you'd had a bunch of amateur fights, but this was still just your third pro fight. Can you just talk to me about where were you at in terms of your career? Just obviously, you'd been, I think that was just your second or third fight in Invicta, so you are not the Andrea Lee that we're familiar with today. Can you just talk about where you were at back in 2014?
I felt like, man, I felt like I was in a great position. Even still, it being like so many years back, I felt great, about where I was as an MMA fighter, and I feel even better about where I am now today. But then I was coming off of a lot of fighting, because I mean, as an amateur, we could fight as often as we wanted to. I had a lot of Muay Thai fights. I had a lot of boxing experience, and I was getting a lot of MMA fights into. So I mean, I was a lot more active then than I have been now. So I felt very confident, and comfortable like with where I was going into the fight with Roxanne Modafferi. The only issue with that fight is that I suffered a ruptured.
The
I had
ruptured
got a
ear, right?
yeah, like 2 days before the fight. I was working on cutting weight and sweating, and my coach wanted to move around a little bit, so I put on my gloves, and we were supposed to just be like moving to sweat, but we ended up sparring, and it ended up getting a little out of hand, and he ended up clipping me and catching me with a hard hook to the right ear, and it dropped me, ruptured my eardrum, and I wasn't for sure it was ruptured until like that night that I went to go like rest my head in the water because I was like trying to soak my whole body, and the water just kind of rushed my ear canal, and it was like an excruciating pain that I hadn't felt before. And then I kind of got like an ear infection sort of after that. So I mean, like my head was like
Yeah.
feeling like I had like some sort of a head cold, and I had a fever anyway. So it really sucked because looking back, I have to think about that, and I'm like, man, what if, I don't know. We ended up losing a close decision. Maybe had I not been injured, maybe I could have gotten the win. Maybe still Roxanne would have won. Who knows? But it's just always those what ifs. So now we get to run it back, and I'm excited about that.
And to make it clear, like all of this, this happened 2 days out from the fight. So you went from, relatively normal to just plummeting within about 48 hours. Mind you, also the weight cut, which most fighters will tell you can be just as tough as the fight down the stretch. So all of that happened very quickly. Can I ask, because I also remember, if I'm not mistaken, you took that fight on short notice, right? Like her original opponent pulled out. How much time did you have to prepare for that one that you
I
remember?
think I think it was like maybe 3 weeks, something like that.
Were you in
So I
like?
knew
Go ahead.
I was in good shape already. I mean, because I was training all the time. I mean, I'd never had really a day off. So I mean, I was in fight camp like nonstop. It seemed like so. Even though I got the call on short notice, I was already in relatively good shape.
And can I ask, for people who don't understand, but when you have that ruptured eardrum, this isn't, for people who've not experienced it, this is a serious thing. Like, if I'm not mistaken, you've talked about you still struggle with going into the water and all that with your ear, right? Like, just how would you say it affected you? Like, you're in the fight, do you feel sluggish? Do you just feel, describe it for people?
Now I've gotten kind of used to it, but then it was like, I mean, I was falling down when I shouldn't have been falling down. I mean, she was like taking my feet out from underneath me when we were against the cage. I mean, it was like she just there was no effort on her part. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't really, I just felt really off balance. I remember throwing a kick and like fuck freaking falling on my ass. So I wasn't there completely. Not to mention I couldn't really hear my corner any because everything was muffled. So it did play a big part. So if you've never had your eardrum ruptured, then I guess you wouldn't understand. Um, but it did play a big part, especially in my balance. Now when I do drills, I get dizzy so easily. I can't do it. So like, cause our warm ups are like cartwheels and forward rolls and backward rolls, and we're constantly flipping and spinning. So it's like I stand up and I'm
The
like all over the place.
equilibrium's off.
It's
Yeah.
way off. Yeah.
Yeah, well, just to be clear, like for people who don't experience it, it's like this isn't something take an Advil the morning of the fight and you're good to go for a championship fight. You know what I mean? So, just
Okay.
to illustrate the picture for people, that was in 2014. She's obviously changed a lot as a fighter. I'm sure yourself, you feel like you've grown in your skills. How would you say you guys have both improved, watching her and then obviously knowing yourself?
You know, I've seen Roxy improve like a ton since she's moved to Syndicate, and with every fight, she's always underestimated, and I've just seen her grow like she's very smart, on her feet. I mean, her style is very odd, but I mean, very she's very good at being strategic, and she's a veteran of the sport. She's been doing it much longer than I have. She knows how to win fights, And for myself, I've figured it out too. I mean, I've had my losses. I've had to learn from those, and I feel like those have helped me to become a better fighter inside the cage. And I feel like I've learned enough to go in there and be able to like finish this fight and get the win.
And can I ask, obviously the she just came off the fight with Lauren Murphy. You obviously recently trained and fought Lauren. What were your thoughts on her last fight?
Um, you know, I was excited about that fight, and I figured that because Lauren ended up getting a unanimous decision and ended up beating Roxy, that they would probably match us both up. That's kind of what I thought before I even got the fight. That I was like, well, they'll probably match me and Roxy up because we both just lost to Lauren Murphy. I lost by split decision. It was close, and she lost unanimously. Um, uh, Even though it was a unanimous decision, I still think that Roxy did great. You know what I mean? And she was in the fight. She pushed hard. Um, I think I think it's still going to be a tough fight no matter what. It doesn't matter that Lauren went in there, won a unanimous decision, and I lost a close decision. I think that, going in with every fight is different with each fighter. You know what I mean? And it just depends on if you bring your A game that night. You can have a great camp, but if you don't show up for the fight, it might not just be your night. And so I feel like even though we both lost to Lauren, it's still going to be a tough fight for us both, but an exciting one.
I mean, how much does it would it mean to you to get this victory over Roxanne? Would it feel like righting a wrong from all those years ago, or does it just it's a brand new experience, you don't even connect it to the first one?
The second, right there, like it's not even it's really not even about that. It's this is just all business, and getting in there and getting the win, to me it's just more important for me to get back on the win column, and to get that fight win, because I need, not to mention, the money is very important to me. So just going in there, getting the win, getting the fight money, and hopefully getting a fight bonus. I mean, that's really like what's important to me. It's not necessarily getting back in there and like redeeming myself. I mean, yeah, that's great, getting back in there and having this fight to redeem myself. But I'm really not even thinking about that. It's not even a major play in this fight for me.
Now, to shift gears a little bit, last time we spoke, you'd said, maybe June you wanted to come back. Obviously, it's a couple months later. You've now had nothing but time to see all these guys and girls go to Florida, go to the Apex, go to the island. Does it make you more excited, or is there just more, I guess, I don't want to say stress, but like more tension because you've now seen all these other fighters go first and compete with no fans and the quarantine? What's that feeling like for you?
Um, I'm excited to see what it feels like. I heard that a lot of the fighters seem to like it, and wish that, if they could fight the rest of their career that way, they would. It seems like less stress. And I've noticed that a lot of the fights have been even better. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's noticed that. I mean, like, because you get the crowd out there, and I mean, maybe it does kind of persuade the fighters in a way, because they're either booing or cheering or they're yelling for you to do something, and you're wanting to impress the fans. But now you don't have that little voice in the background, trying to tell you what to do, and you don't have you don't feel that kind of pressure. Even though there's still a lot of pressure on the line, but you just don't have that pressure of all the fans and the crowd. So I think that maybe it'll be better.
Was there ever any talk about getting you on a card earlier on the island or in August or anything like that?
No talk of fighting on the island, but back in May they reached out to me back whenever they were first gonna have their first couple of fights back after COVID, and I just told them that I wasn't ready for that, because it would have been 2 weeks, and I hadn't been training properly, because all the gyms have been closed, and really all I had been getting was like strength and conditioning and some boxing here and there, but not really getting a full like training camp. So
Gotcha. Just two final ones. To address the elephant in the room, two losses going into this one. I know no fighter wants to be in that position. I'm sure you're ready to go back to kicking girls' butts and all this other stuff. Can you just talk about that? I mean, is there extra pressure? Do you feel like we can't get number three? Like just talk about that emotion a little bit going into it.
Yeah, that's always in the back of my head. I don't want to have three losses on my record, three losses back to back. Um, so I'm gonna do all that I can to get this win. So that's why I expect that this fight's gonna be exciting because I'm going in there balls to the wall and I'm gonna try to bring it. Um, like you stated, this is two losses back to back, and I'm not my my performance against Joanne Calderwood was not good. I was not very happy with that one. My performance with Lauren, I'm not upset with that performance. I was happy, and I'm still happy about that performance. There are things that I could have done, to have done. There are things I could have done better, such as defending the takedowns, um, and if I could have thrown there's a couple of things about that, but either way, I'm still happy with that performance. I felt like I brought it, and her and I just it was like a slugfest, and it was exciting, and the fans loved it. And either way, it was a close fight. So that's what I want for this fight, with Roxy. I want to go in there and it just like I just want to bring it. I don't really want to get caught up in all the grappling. I know she's gonna want to try to like grapple me, smother me against the cage, take me down. That's probably going to be her game plan, and I'm going to try to avoid all of that if I can. Make it
Gotcha.
exciting.
Hey, that's what we are all looking forward to. Final question, the most important one. Are you going to be rocking the black cowboy hat or are you going to change it up for September?
I'll be rocking the black cowboy hat. That's my signature. So maybe eventually, I might change the color, and maybe I'll rock a straw or a white cowboy hat. Who knows? But for now, it's going to be my black felt.
Gotcha. I'm still looking for mine, by the way. Like, I know we talked about it. There's only one good shop where I live to find one. So I'm like, I haven't been able to go in there. I don't think they're open, with COVID. So it's like, my plan is to show it off for you when I do get there. Okay. I promise.
Yeah, you should definitely get you one sometime, and we could get pictures with both our hats.
I, I am down for that. That'll be awesome. Well, Andrea, I appreciate your time. Best of luck against Roxanne Modafferi. Once again, guys, that fight is on September 12th at the Apex right now is the plan. So I'm looking forward to that one. And just once again, best of luck and thanks again.
Thank you so much, Gabriella. I appreciate it.